Hello and welcome to the most censored channel on YouTube. Saturday already, and we're into the middle of May. Freezing cold today, but not to worry, we've a heat wave on the way again. Anyway, you're welcome to the most censored channel on YouTube, and yours truly, Paulie the Grim Reaper, here with you for another 15 minutes. Welcome to XTV Dublin, and full steam ahead since I got up today. 11 messages sent in to 11 mainstream media companies around the world. Yeah, while they're up on the platform, they leave their comments switched on. So, Paulie went in and sent them a few little comments just to rock the boat. I think they call it trolling, is it? Yeah, trust me, by Christmas, most people on the internet and these MSM with the platform behind them going to know about Paulie. Yeah. And speaking of laughs, Uber just shut down another Silicon 19 load of hopefully this is the start of the ruination of the whole lot of them. And the people that run these companies, will all be part of the domino effect. And the little small companies that we've moved over to will be left alone. Now, Silicon 19 news. Italy will ease travel restrictions from the 3rd of June, allowing travel between regions and some international travel. Now, people will be able to travel within their own region from Monday after the country gradually began lifting lockdown restrictions in early May. New travel restrictions will only be put in place depending on certain areas and their outbreaks of the Silicon 19. Italy's Council of Ministers says Italy was the first country outside of Asia to have a serious outbreak of the Silicon 19, and they issued a lockdown and put restrictions in place in early March. And starting in May, the country gradually let many people return back to work as long as they respect physical distancing measures and carry a ruler with them or an app that tells them they're too close to the person in front of them, which somebody will probably bring out soon. And you'll have it on your phone. That'll beep and tell you you're too close. You're too close. Alarm bells. Italy has the 3rd highest death toll in the world after the United States and the United Kingdom, with more than 31,000 people who have died that were already sick with underlying conditions that they forgot to tell you, and 99% of them were all old. Anyway, back to America's Silicon 19 news. President Donald Duck says on Friday yesterday that he's hopeful to have a Silicon 19 vaccine on the market by the end of the year or shortly thereafter. He says we're looking into getting the vaccine by the end of the year if we can, Trump says. Or shortly thereafter, like he puts into everything else, which could be any time. Early trial data suggests that a few 100 million doses of vaccine will be delivered by late 2020. And former pharmaceutical executive Moncap, who is serving as the Trump administration Fires Authority, says during the daily Silicon 19 briefing at the White House. They're already there, ready to be driven. They're already in the lorry. Anyway, speaking from the Rose Garden, Trump added that the US is getting ready. So that when we get the war to go, and once we have the vaccine, we're ready to rock. He also said that the country's economy should start bouncing back during the last quarter of the year. And by 2021, it's going to look tremendous. Once everyone gets vaccinated, of course. But they left that part out. Anyway, we're back to vaccine or no vaccine, he says. He says we're not going to close the country for 5 years. This is not going to happen. And that's what's going on over in America. Now let's zoom back over to Brexit. Remember that thing? Brexit. Well, here's the latest again with the show starters, the showstoppers. The EU and the UK trade talks were never going to be plain sailing. But then came Silicon 19, with both chief negotiator Michel Barnier and the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson being personally affected. In the meantime, a June deadline for significant progress is looming, and key arguments remain unresolved. Questions remain over fishing rights and how closely the UK will stick to the EU regulations and allowing a role for the EU's top court, the European Court of Justice says. More bumps in the road came this week as the EU Commission, they opened an infringement proceedings against the UK for failing to comply with free movement rules. And while the UK said EU was at the risk of breaching the terms of the Brexit agreement over British expats registering to stay in the EU. Thanks everyone for sending me over the emails. And thanks for sending them to the new email address. Lovely. No problems. Should have done it years ago. Anyway, here's one for you. Always eyes watching you. And the voice enveloping you. Yeah. That's from 1984, George Orwell. I told you we'd be speaking about that. Keeps on popping up. Whether it be F. Scott Fitzgerald's ominous description of the eyes of the T.J. Eckleburg looking down on the Valley of the Ashes as if they were the eyes of God in The Great Gatsby, or Orwell's imagining of Big Brother in 1984. It appears as if someone has always been watching us. And while we are not in the era of thought crime quite yet, we are entering an age where government surveillance is fast becoming the norm, and facial recognition technology stalks the street with CCTV cameras everywhere. In the midst of the Silicon-19 epidemic, pandemic, hoaxademic, whatever you want to call it, many states have turned to facial recognition technology as a way to combat the spread of the virus by tracking, quarantine evaders, or gouging the temperatures illegally without you even knowing. Checking you out in the crowd just to see how you got it. You don't even know, with the square box around you. You didn't sign that. No, didn't sign that agreement. However, without proper regulation, we have started to witness the often undetected spread of the technology, much like the virus, taking over the host body. This begs the question as to what will happen when we emerge into this post-Silicon-19 virus world. Will these often invasive technological powers be de-escalated when the threat is past? Or will they be held in place under the pretense of public protection? Something funny to cheer you up this Saturday. Mr. Gates dies and goes to heaven. He goes to heaven, he meets St. Peter at the gates. St. Peter takes him to his new little house. It's a small little wooden cottage with a TV, 2 bathrooms and a little straw bed. And right next to him was a huge castle made of silver and gold. Gates says, how come that guy gets the castle and I'm stuck with this cottage? Well, Peter says, that castle belongs to the captain of the Titanic ship. That's what Peter says. Gates says, why does he get a bigger house than me? Peter says, because the Titanic only crashed once. Just something to cheer you up there, you know. I told you, I wanted to be a comedian one day. Didn't happen. Anyway, tomorrow sees the return of NASCAR. NASCAR. Sports. Remember that? Live on the television. Remember? Tomorrow NASCAR returns. It returns to the competition without fans in the grandstands at South Carolina's Darlington Raceway. The best case scenario is that it captivates a homebound audience that is starved for live sports programming after nearly 3 months of quarantine because of the Silicon-19. The worst case scenario is that in becoming the first major US sport to restart, with a vaccine nowhere on the horizon, they said, NASCAR finds that its safety precautions for participants fall short, triggering an outbreak amongst drivers and essential personnel, jeopardises lives and sets back the timetable for all the sports returns. Lately, the politicians of the United States have declared Constitution as dated and old. They tried to tell us that it was written a long time ago, and things have changed since then. Like our gun laws, for instance. The people of America are slowly clicking I agree all the time and wiping away all their rights and freedoms given to them by the Constitution of the United States of America. Many remember that. This comes in from Concerned Citizen, one of the subscribers that sends me a lot of emails. Thanks. She goes on. With every app and every permission that you sign the terms of agreement, every waiver you sign. Walking into a building now, you are signing a document stating that you are willingly allowing them to violate your constitutional rights. They are without a doubt using our current situation to push their agenda, enforce rules and regulations on people who otherwise would not submit. And they have the whole country on a stay-at-home order while they're signing bills in, passing laws and emergency guidelines, all the while we're locked in our little houses. And we can't go to defend our rights. They claim that you still have the right to protest or debate against any bill or law passed in Congress. But if you travel more than 75 miles from your home, you will not be allowed to return to work. So people are turning to social media and other platforms to voice their opinion. And then those platforms censor and filter all the views that do not align with their current agenda. They have us all in a virtual prison. Love it, concerned citizen. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Other people spot what's going on as they shut me down completely. Politics, relevant news, connecting the dots, not to withhold information, explaining their narrative, not to control but to inform, a grim truther, not to scare but to prepare. You can be my political advisor. You're the definition of politics, not to be confused with politics. I love you and what you do here. If you need anything, that comes in from Johnny P up the north. Finally, before I go today, Saturday, grey, depressing, 12 degrees out, people with the heating on. And I hope you're going to enjoy over on the new platform I moved to. And I'm getting the hang of it now. It'll take me a little bit of time. And please watch how YT shut a channel down. For the other important people watching, watch closely, as Paulie the Grim Reaper wants to contact everybody now to show them how they switch me off from 50 downwards. Everyone, enjoy the final part of the David and Goliath story. This is the 2020 version, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Paulie and Goo Goo Goliath, played by Tom Hanks as the Goo Goo Goliath CEO. And it's in cinemas now, and it must end on the 1st of August before the new rules and regulations, just in time for the premiere of the brand new film, The Silicon 19, also starring Tommy Hanks, now recovered from the Silicon 19. It's a true story, so I don't want to spoil the plot at the end. Anyway, I think you all know what happened. Anyway, look, I might be back tomorrow, depending on the Men in Black, with Sunday papers. And thanks to everybody for watching over the last week. It's been difficult this week. And I put the last couple of videos deliberately together to see what would happen, and I was spot on. I've been telling you all week to watch. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. And you enjoyed the bit of rally and the information that goes up in the videos on a daily basis. As I said, I've tried to put 15-minute show together, and it's difficult. Difficult to put the video together. That can take a couple of hours to edit the whole thing, and then script most of this, go in and get the information from the news, put it up, which is already all over the internet, like Mr. Ike was trying to repeat everything that he reads on the internet, and he's not allowed to speak about it. You're allowed to read about it, but you can't speak about it. And that's 1984. And I hope all the human beings, the humanity people that work for this company, that are watching today's video, are closely scrutinised, by the management team over on BIT, the other one. I hope they're watching closely, because when I started these videos, this other platform was the same. Simple, like everyone says, once upon a time. And then all these orders got signed into place. Now, there's rules and regulations on everybody. So these American companies are owning everything that you do. So I'm going to leave it there for now, as we're coming up to the 15 minutes. Thanks to everyone for getting in touch. As I said, I saved the videos under different sections like entertainment, comedy, to see what the difference is, because the whole point of this is playing with artificial intelligence. Anyway, I'll take tomorrow off probably because it's Sunday. Don't ask me, it's Groundhog Day. See ya.